welcome this afternoon. Ralph is really excited about this program that we have the call out open for right now, our Excell Malaria Program. We are ever so happy that we were able to obtain generous funding from the Bill Gates Foundation, particularly their malaria program, part of the Bill Gates Foundation, to put on this Excell program. This will be the second time ARF has delivered an Excell program, which is a really unique program, which you'll learn more and more about throughout this webinar. But it combines institutional embedding and support alongside leadership development for early career researchers within institutions. And it's a really powerful program. So we're so excited to be able to share with you more information about this. Those of you who don't know me, I see lots of familiar faces, so I think most of you might know me. Well, not faces, but names. My name is Dr. Dawn Duke, and I'm Head of Researcher Development, where I oversee all of the programs such as this Excell program. So today will be all about going into the details of what this program is and helping support people to decide whether they want to put in an application or not. We hope that a lot of you find that this is a really good opportunity for you, and we'll give you advice and support in that, so we'll be able to answer questions that you may have. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to bring in our CEO of ARF, who also happens to be an alumni who was on our very first Excell program. So we're really excited to have her here, and she can speak from experience of being a participant in this program and being an applicant for this program. As well as being ARF's CEO. So I'm going to pass straight over to you, Akari.
Thank you very much, Dawn. It's a true pleasure to be here to be part of this webinar for the Excell program. Like Dawn said, I was the institutional lead for the first Excell program in my institution, and that opened my eyes to the significant role that capacity strengthening has for African researchers. And what is unique about Excell is that it not only targets the individual, but also the institution. And within the institution, what we want as our major outcome is how can your institution improve the environment for early career researchers to grow. And so one of the very first things that was topmost in my mind when I joined Excell as CEO was to find a way to bring back this very unique program. And we're very fortunate to get generous support from the Gates Foundation to do a malaria Excell program. And so for this phase of the Excell program, we will be focused on malaria researchers. And so I welcome you to this seminar. I'm going to hand over to the team to guide us through the process. Please put your questions in and we'll attend to them as much as we can so that your application process is seamless. Thank you and welcome to the webinar.
Welcome everyone. I will introduce myself and my colleague Lamin, so then we can go into the slides. My name is Dr. Catherine Kansime. I'm the Research and Development Manager with RF, and I'll be taking you through the presentation today. Lamin, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Catherine. I am Lamin Sane, RF Project Manager. So I am mainly focused on providing support to the various programs that RF run. So I'll be here today to run you through how to navigate our grant management system to submit your Excell program application. Thank you. And over to you, Kat.
Thank you. Okay, we can start our slides, Lamin. Okay, so as we start our slides today, I just hope that every one of you has had an opportunity to look at the call and also look at the different requirements that are needed for you to be able to put in this application. If you have had a look at it, then it's going to be much easier for you to ask questions and for us to be able to guide you. So we'll briefly talk about AREF in case anyone on the program or present does not know much about AREF. It was founded in 2015 by Professor Tumani Kora. We have our now head offices in the Gambia, but we are registered as a charity in UK and in Africa. We are all growing since 2015. This year, we are marking our 10th anniversary, and we are growing to about 900 alumni. So yeah, that is really interesting. Our vision as AREF is to have an inspired, committed, and talented community of researchers in Africa that will be leading world-class research and participating equitably in international research endeavors for health and well-being. Our mission is to nurture a community of researchers across Africa to become research experts and lead African and global health challenges. So you'll notice that this call is out to all Africans, as long as your institution are within Africa and you're working within Africa. Next slide, please. So what are the objectives for the Excell Malaria Program? With 3 main objectives, we are looking at outcome orientation. And here we are looking at how we can be able to establish supports that will foster and develop potential, but also provide enabling opportunities that will support innovative research among the researchers. Then we look at organizational development, and here we'll have promote sustainable institutional engagement within the institution, also managing talented malaria researchers. And we will enable these committed institutions to grow their research footprint and impact as well as their outcome. But we also focus on the individual development, and we'll be providing a number of programs such as coachship and experiential learning interventions, individual that will take part in this program. And this is to enable them grow in their leadership potential in the field of malaria research. So some of the benefits of this program is that we want to have in support, whereby the institutions are going to nominate 5 rising stars from each institution. And then these rising stars should be able to cascade their learning from the program back to their institutions. The cooperation and networking will be between the institutions, and this will involve sharing of experience and best practices. We'll be focusing mainly on 3. The call is open for all institutions, but we'll be taking on 3 institutions. So we hope to see that these 3 institutions will be wearing out of this program so that they can be able to grow their network. The other benefit is an Excell-enabled capacity strengthening project that will involve the institutional leads and Excell nominees. So the Excell nominees will keep referring to this, but these are the 5 rising researchers that will be selected from each institution. And these will focus on the aspect of local transformation within your bigger set of plans. So each institution already has its plans, work together to see how to program. Then feedback are also planning they will have obtained from the Excell program through their other institutional programs. But because these institutions will be also working with other institutions where we will select 3 institutions, They will also benefit from the cooperation and networking between all the participating institutions. And this is good for you to be able to share experiences and best practices and also grow networks. We also, Excell will also provide capacity building projects which will involve the institutional lead and Excell nominees. Every time you see us talk about Excell nominees, those are the 5 rising star researchers that we are talking about, and they'll find a way to bring all the aspects of the program into the bigger plans of their institutions, and also have feedback in terms of greater success at winning funds, but also how to be able to have impact within their institutions. Next slide, please. So we'll have 5 learning themes, and we've categorized them as the researcher, as the leader, have the effective research leader, we have the compelling applicant, and the researcher as the manager, and the responsible researcher. If you can remember from what Don mentioned, that one of the things we need to do is do leadership development within these institutions.
Each institution will have 1 institutional lead. So for the overall cohort, we will have 3, and each institution will have 5 participating early career postdoctoral researchers. So the cohort will consist of 15 Excell researchers. And we will be providing leadership support for all of the individuals for that cohort of 15, but also for our institutional leads. They will become a cohort of their own, supporting and mentoring and coaching each other, as well as getting coaching and mentorship from some of our previous Excell people who have gone through this. And our 15 Excell fellows will receive intensive leadership training to help move them to the next stages. Oh, can you go back? We will also provide support of up to $50,000 for the institution in 2 different installments, first $30,000 and then $20,000, to embed projects that will help strengthen the capacity of researcher development within their institution. So this will be projects that really are looking at what your early career researchers need within your institution, within your malaria group specifically, to be able to get them to the next levels. So that could be mentorship, that could be different policies and programs, that could be embedding a grant writing training suite. There's lots of different ways, and this can be done, and maybe Akiri can give us some examples later on. But the important thing is that each institution is able to look at themselves and consult with their researchers to decide. So we're really looking for outcomes that help enhance the competitiveness of researchers within the institution. Those are our specific institutional leads and Excell researchers, but also greater researchers. And we're looking at how we can really build strong research careers. And that's one of the real key objectives of these projects. So you as an institution thinking about how you can better build the research careers of early career researchers. Empowering teams, winning funds, collaborating internationally, looking at your knowledge exchange across different national borders and international borders, and thinking about your engagement with research users. Those can be communities, patient groups, policymakers. And in the end, this should all lead to improved health and lives within your different contexts. And very importantly, ARIF is very passionate about making sure that we're inclusive of gender and marital status, and we're overall looking at making sure that there is a diverse group of researchers within our programs. this includes different language groups, so we're very conscious that the application is an English application. We will be making sure that just if somebody is coming from Francophone or Lusophone countries, that language is not something that will be a barrier for that application. We're very excited about trying to have a good mix of a diverse range of researchers and perspectives for this. And we recognize that women are also underrepresented in a lot of these fields. And we have gone to great lengths as ARIF to really bring our participation of women researchers to just about 50% now in all of our programs. So we really do appreciate making sure that our partners also, we would want them to be looking at that and how they can make sure that they're including the women in their groups. Right, next slide. Right, so the program timelines will run over 2 years, and there will be lots of things happening. These are just major key things that are happening, and we'll have exact timelines for you once we get ourselves all together. But we will be launching the actual program in January, so selection should take place sometime a few months after the deadline. You will know by November, December if you're one of the institutions, and we will launch in January, and we'll have an opening conference that will also have workshop training in May 2026. So, and from that, you will have your project ideas that are going into the applications, but we will also then pair you with people to help you work really hard on making those project plans even better and get mentorship and have an initial award for those projects by July 2026. So we're really going to put in everything to make sure that you have the support to put together projects that will really be a step change for your institutions. Then the following year, we will have another residential workshop, and there also will be a the second award delivered, and then a final face-to-face conference in 2028. So those are our main face-to-face components, but there will be also lots of virtual sessions, virtual coaching, virtual peer support sessions to keep all of the learning going, and really work on developing leadership skills and helping those that are trying to implement manage all of the different political things that may be hard to do, and helping to inspire your different institutions and research groups to really be on board with what you're doing. So we will have program governance. So at the opening conference, a steering group will be formed. We'll have the institutional leads there. We will have our lovely Ahiri, who has so much experience to lend. We will have early career researchers participating and making sure that their voices are being heard. And we'll have a full selection process. The CEO is the final decision on all of these. However, in terms of our selection of institutions, we will go to a peer review panel, and we will be guided by peer review on who we will select. So we will have external peer review for the actual selection of our institutions. Great. So we'll have the role of the institution is really important, and we will be looking for institutions that have strong buy-in, that you show that the institutions are wanting to participate in this. We expect the institutional leads will participate in all of the residential conferences, and that they will be involved in the steering committee, and they will give input into the curriculum and really help us make sure that we're aligning with their institutional needs and to support what the support for their early career researchers really should be. We will be asking partners to volunteer to host the different workshops and conferences. Ideally, we will have 3 institutions, and it would be nice to visit all 3 of our partner institutions in turns for our 3 face-to-face, if at all possible. It may not be. Obviously, there sometimes are problems with that, but we would hope that we could at least try to be in the vicinity. But we very much would like people to be contributing to webinars and support facilitation and learning resources that you may be using. So we're trying to make a real active peer group that's sharing and giving, and we will be as well. So and in the end, the concluding conference will be looking at how we sustain this, and that the program is designed to make change. This isn't meant to be 2 years and then we stop. This is meant to be how this goes forward for all of you and for ARIF, and how we translate what we've done together to make institutions stronger and research environments stronger as a whole. So we'll be looking for all the different ways in which we can do this. We will be looking for our partners to contribute to formal evaluation and also dissemination in terms of publication and presentation of the results of this program. Next slide. So the nitty gritty, and I'm going to put, there was a disclaimer at the beginning of the slide deck, but I'm going to call on it again. Please, please, please do not just rely on our abridged version of the guidance for applicants. I'm going to highlight some important terms and things. However, it is very, very important that you read the full guidance and that you keep going through it. So just briefly, the eligibility criteria for institutions, they should be universities or research institutions that are internationally recognized for their contribution to malaria research. Internationally recognized is kind of a buzz phrase. So when we're talking about that, what we would like to see is that there's evidence of funding, international funding, of a significant amount of staff, that there's governance within the institution, and that there are real malaria outputs. So peer-reviewed outputs, people going to conferences that are about malaria, people contributing to the international malaria evidence pool. And we would like there to be connections beyond just that institution, obviously, and outside. International would be outside of that country. So partnerships outside of the country, and South-South partnerships are absolutely evidence of international recognition as well. So we value those South-South partnerships as well as partnerships with Europe or Asia or the US or wherever else. So really showing those different partnerships is very strong. You must be a legal entity doing research and research training. That should be in the charter of the institution. And based in, you must be based in an institution means that you're employed and you have some form of leadership within that institution. You're running a research group, and that the institution has programs that are based within the specific region and aren't really run by somebody outside, but that they actually are within Africa. So it isn't an external coming in and just doing things, that it is an entity that is actually based within Africa. So we will accept applications. Sometimes people have different institutes or research centers or things like that. That's absolutely fine, but we will only take one application per university or research institute. So if you have a university that has multiple research groups, research centers, institutes that are doing malaria, you'd have a much better chance of winning if you came together and put in an application as one, because we can't accept two separate applications from that same institute. So if you have other institutions that you think might also be interested, please communicate and collaborate, because that will make your application stronger, and diluting it and trying to have two will get your application kicked out. So hope that makes sense. Okay, okay. Applications, oh, where am I? Applications must be submitted from a specific institutional lead. And they have to be authorized by the institution's leadership. So we really do need buy-in, because nothing else, it is absolutely impossible to get change to happen within an institution if you don't have buy-in and authorization by your higher ups. So if you're interested in doing this, now is the time to be talking to those people within the leadership of your institution to see if this is something they're interested in and something they will support you to do. Because it is about making change, and you can't make change without the leadership on your side. The institutional lead will be the person responsible for developing and implementing the program within your institution, but you will need a sponsorship letter by an official like your deputy vice chancellor or your research director or whoever that person is within your institution. And we want to work and help you really personally engage with those people to make this all very smooth. So they're going to be the sponsor of the Excell Malaria Program within your institution, whereas the institutional lead will be the ones leading the application, if that makes sense. So you can have joint applications between two universities or research institutions or things like that, but we need one specific lead. So if you're going in with a different university, maybe you have two that are very close in the area. We definitely have places like that and people that collaborate very closely on malaria and have groups that are very intertwined. Absolutely fine. But we need you to decide on one lead applicant. So we have a specific institutional lead, although the different early career researchers that are involved can absolutely be across the two and should be across the two. Right, next. Right, so institutional leads, we would expect institutional leads to be at least mid-career researchers. It's very, very hard for somebody who's very early in their research career to be able to lead these projects and make change. It doesn't put them in a good position. So we're looking for people who are at least senior lecturer or higher to be an institutional lead. So they should be somebody who is leading their own research group already getting international funds for malaria research. You should have at least 10 publications in malaria. You should be supervising master's and PhD students and have experience of mentorship of researchers. So yeah, you should be a known malaria researcher, and we'd be also looking for evidence of leadership within your institution. So things that are evidence of capacity building or contributing to positive research culture. That may be different committee memberships or leading different initiatives. You may have had a role of a department head currently or in the past. So we're looking for people who are really engaged in making things happen in an institution and are passionate about doing so. So you will then also nominate our early career researchers who will be involved in the leadership program. So eligibility for them is that they should be a national of an African state. It may be different to the country in which they're employed. That's okay. They should be employed by an African institution in a research role that can be peer research or research and teaching or research and clinic. We get a variety or whatever combination of those there is, but they should have a significant role in research. We would expect them to be active in malaria research with at least 4 publications in their field, so more junior than the institutional lead, but postdoctoral, so having 2 to 8 years of postdoc experience. That doesn't mean they have the title postdoc. It just means they're past their doctorate. Or for those that are clinically trained, they may not have a PhD, but maybe they have an MD and a research master's or things like that, and they are research active clinicians. Absolutely fine. And for them, we're looking at probably 4 to 8 years of research experience. We do take into consideration maternity leave, so people who may be on the upper bounds of that but have taken carers leave or have had significant illness that has taken them out of their careers, that's fine. We would just need that to be documented so we know. We try to be very inclusive about this. It's not about holding people back for things like that. So do note that is absolutely fine. Obviously not having participated in Excell before. And I would say for the early career researchers, if they've participated in towards leadership before, I think they probably aren't good people to nominate for the early career researcher. However, some of our towards leadership people have moved on to levels that would definitely make them good institutional leads. Just putting that out there. So, and if you need clarity on that, please ask, and I'm happy to also answer that to our towards leadership people individually if you need. Sorry, next. So, how to apply? There's a link. When do you jump in, Lamon, to do how to apply? Is it after this? Or is this you, or shall I keep going? Can't hear you.
And I think you can proceed, Dawn.
Okay. So yeah, there's a website. Please read all of the further information. All of us, Lamon, Kiri, Kathy, me, have gone through the information to try and make it as clear as possible and to have as many answers to questions we can think people might have and put those in the documentation. You can absolutely ask any other questions. So there's an email here, and yes, we will send the slides, put the slides up. I think we can put them up on the web even, hopefully. So yes, ask any questions you have. It's always better to ask in advance than to not know or possibly get something wrong that disadvantages your application. Cool. So we've opened the call in June. We're leaving a good amount of time for the call, so it's not due. I have a question. Thanks, Dawn. Who selects institutional leads? So the institutional lead is, well, self-selected and supported by their institution. So only one person in an institution can be an institutional lead. However, the early career researchers should go through a nomination process, and we can answer other questions about that. There's quite a lot of detail within within the guidance as well, but they should be nominated through application in a transparent process, which is why we've given quite a lot of time between opening the call and the submission deadline, because you and your institutions will have to find the early career researchers that you're nominating to take part in this, and that will take a transparent process, and you will have to share that process with us so that we're sure that you weren't just picking your postdocs, basically, that we know that there was a process that really was selecting the best postdocs that really can benefit most from this. So we've given a good long time for the call, and we've tried to put this on in enough notice to help you guys make sure that you can meet these deadlines. We will then have a peer review process and a selection panel to pick our final 3. Which will be very exciting. And we are on target to have a funding decision by the end of November for the launch of our program in January. So we will be looking to make sure that institutions are an active development of institutional strategy, and that the university is committed to research and to researcher and leadership development. So we'll be looking for institutions that are very proactive in that, and that they have active support specifically for malaria research. So it really does help if you have an institutional research strategy that is talking about caring about research, and particularly maybe caring about malaria research. Institutions can demonstrate this in a variety of ways, thinking about, what's in your strategy, supported lab space, continued upkeep and maintenance of facilities, and institutional engagement, maybe with external malaria policy or clinical practice. We'll be looking in your applications, you'll be asked to make a convincing plan about how you're going to be integrating this malaria program within your strategy. That will be a very, very important part of your narrative that our peer reviewers and selection panel will be looking at. We're going to want very specific outcomes that you're looking for. We want them to be inspiring and a step change, but also achievable, and that there is a good sustainability plan. So again, there should be a good portfolio of competitively awarded peer review malaria projects. Those can be nationally funded, they can be internationally funded. So really thinking about, how much malaria research your institution has on, and also, as we said in the last slide, what the strategy is to sustain and grow that research. And again, looking at how your nominees of the Excell program were selected, we will want to know how you picked your early career researchers that you've selected to participate, and we'll want to have accompanied nomination forms, so applications that were used to select people along with their CVs, so that we can really see that these are the right people. And that will be part of the selection process, that you have picked really good people that are rising stars in the area of malaria research, to support your institution moving forward. Next. So when you're looking at your nominees, and again, there's a huge amount of detail in the information packet. This is a summary, so do go over that. but we'll be looking at the early career researchers' track record of malaria research. Obviously, they're at a more junior level, and we absolutely appreciate that, but we would expect there to be some outputs. As we said, we would expect some publications. You can also include conference presentations and awards and those type of things that people may be getting. Maybe they have a doctoral award or an early career researcher award. Those things are all things that would be positive. They should have their own personal statement of their career vision and plan that is including malaria research and what they want to do, how they see themselves as an emerging research leader, and really how this malaria program, Excell program, will benefit them. And again, we welcome institutions to think of other things that matter for them in their context. So what we care about most is that your nomination process is fair and transparent, and it's designed to attract the strongest applicants and open to all genders and diversity that you might have within your institution, so that it's really finding a good balance of the people that you have within your institution that are your rising stars and emerging research leaders. So yes, I think we said most of those things. You should rank your nominees to assist the selection panel in making sure that we have a good balance. That can be done through whatever peer review process that you're going to have. We just need to understand it. And yeah, we need to make sure that people aren't ineligible or there isn't evidence of weak selection, because that will reduce your chance of being selected as an institution. So this is a really important part of the criteria. Peer reviewers will be looking at this. Right. There are ARIF fellows, and we anticipate that some of our ARIF alumni may participate in this, and that's absolutely fine. So it might be that ARIF fellows are nominated. So some people who have done our ARIF grant writing within an institution and our early career researchers, or even maybe our RDFs, may be possible nominees to then be on the early career researcher leadership programs. Like I said, the Towards Leadership probably would not come through as being participants in the early career researcher side. However, they very well may be institutional leads. Many of our Towards Leadership people, particularly in cohort 1 and maybe even in cohort 2, have moved themselves up since that leadership and have taken on more senior roles, definitely mid-career within their institutions. So this may very much be an opportunity for you to be institutional lead. It is also possible that in some cases, if there are vacancies, we may be able to pull in other fellows from our ARIF institutions that aren't part of it, but that will be at the discretion of the CEO, and if we have such vacancies, which we can't predict right now. Next. So money. money. So the award is up to $50,000. And that is in dollars, in 2 installments, $30,000 and then $20,000. To be able to get the second installment, you will have to have full financial accounting of the first installment. We can't give money again if it isn't taken care of the first time. So it will be really important that you do have good financial accounting. So we will have to approve the different travel and subsistence costs of, and we will be looking at the budgets in general. overall and making sure everything looks right, and there will be accountability for that. So we will have to do a due diligence check on any institution. And we can work with institutions with due diligence if you haven't held money like this or you're not able to show. So we might be able to do it in smaller increments. So we'll have to look at that when we have our selected institution, but we will need to make sure people have financial management systems in place, because you will need to manage the budget and be accountable for everything that you spend. And again, Lamin led on our last one in terms of all of the financial stuff. So if you have questions, I probably will bounce it to Lamin, because he is the master of all of that. Next slide. Okay, so things that we need submitted. So you'll need your completed application, signed by institutional leadership. So that is your sponsor. That is the person that is high up in your institution, like the deputy vice chancellor, whoever you may need sign off from. And there should be a letter of support of this application addressing the institution's capabilities in malaria research and research management, how the sponsor is going to be directly involved in capacity building and is supportive of researcher development and leadership capacity development within the institution. And how the institution, the sponsor, will integrate the Excell into the institution's malaria research capacity. And they may even talk about how this is going to support the malaria research capacity, but even better, you could even think the sponsor might say, and could serve as a template for other areas of capacity building within our institution. We're very happy for this to be a model that then extends over broader areas of research within institutions. Again, thinking about potential to work and share with other institutions and to build national and regional capacity to enhance research or development is all very important and would be a plus in an application. Next slide, please. Okay, and we will we'll need a short academic CV from institutional lead. And if you do have co-applicants, you can put in the CVs for them too. There are selected documents and appendices that you can use on the form. For instance, it may be helpful for you to show an organogram of the governance of the institutional capacity development strategy, so we can see who's your sponsor and where their influence is. A research strategy might be something that you want to share with us and put in a supplemental document. Any other data in terms of the portfolio of malaria research beyond that of just the institutional lead, you may want to bring in and show in some sort of way. So think about what might be good supplementary data to show critical mass or institutional desire for growth in the area. Make sure that your appendix are really clearly numbered and that we know what it is, and please refer to them in the application so that we know what we're looking at when we're looking at documents. But please do be selective. Peer reviewers don't like to have to go through a lot of extra documents that don't tell them things or tell them the same thing over and over. That makes peer reviewers grumpy. You don't want your peer reviewers to be grumpy. Lesson 101 from grant writing. Next one. Okay, so for your nominees, We would expect there to be application forms, and I think we give a template of an application form even that you can use, and you can adapt to suit your needs, but just to make life easier and to see things that we're interested in, I would suggest using our template application form and only modifying what really makes sense to your institution. So we'd expect to see those application forms and short CVs, not 500 pages long, of your 5 nominated researchers. We would expect them to have their best 4 malaria publications. Please do put them in if they're not easily accessible on the internet. We would like to see proof of their PhD or equivalent. And yeah, make sure all of that's put together so that we have that for our selection panel, our selection process. It will be really important for us to see how you're selecting people. That will absolutely be part of the score for the application. So do that. Make sure that you submit all the documents. Please do. It always happens that something isn't there. And yeah, when we have a lot of applications, it's really hard to go back and try and track every single one. So it is possible that your application could be thrown out if it's not complete. So please make sure that you are checking all the boxes. And I think we do have within the system things to alert you to what you need to do, but please do pay attention to all of that. Thank you. So awarding process, we will make a decision. We will look at your plan and we will review budget to make sure everything makes sense. We will have to run due diligence on institutions if we haven't run them on your institution recently in the past. If we have in the last 3 years because you've had a research development fellowship awarded to your institution, it's possible that you may not need that step. And we will aim to send out award letters in December for our launch of program in January. So just a few top tips before I pass on to Lamin. Give yourself time. It seems like October is a long way away right now, but it's really just around the corner, particularly as people will be going on holiday at various times right now. So I really, really suggest if you're interested in doing this, talk to your senior management now. Really start to think about how you're going to do your nominations and get those forms together, because you're going to want to get those applications out really very soon, because you'll have to internally review them and pick people. And as somebody who oversees that process a lot, it takes more time than you think, because people don't get the reviews back to you, and getting everyone together for selection panel takes time. So please start that very, very early. And whilst you're doing it, read and reread all of the instructions. Do make sure that you're the right one to apply for this. If you're thinking you're the institutional lead, make sure you fit the eligibility. If you don't, maybe take this to someone in your institution who you think might be better. So maybe you're a little bit early in your career and you would be better suited to being one of the leadership Excell nominee participants. Maybe then see if you can find a more senior person who would be suitable to the institutional lead role and talk to them. So make sure that you are eligible, because it's a lot of effort actually, and you want to make sure that you give yourself the best chance. Have a real clear vision of what you want this to accomplish for the careers of your researchers, for the careers of the institutional lead, and for the future of the institution. Read the application form, and again, watch the guidance. Do make sure you have all of the approvals and everything is signed, and you have all of your letters that you need of support. And do give yourself time to proofread and edit. We only have 3 institutions that we can award, and right now I'm seeing 76 participants on this call. So every little thing you do to bring quality to your application probably will count. So make sure that you give yourself time to make the best application possible. If you don't succeed this time, don't give up. ARIF is hoping to do these things again and again, and we're looking out for funding ourselves to be able to do more going in the future. And there are always different opportunities in ARIF. So keep working with us, and we will keep trying to find different fun opportunities within ARIF, but there are also opportunities other places. I think that's me. Is that me, Lemon?
Yes, thank you very much, Dawn. Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to walk you through the application process for the RF Excel Researcher and Leadership Development Program. Whether you're applying for the first time or simply unfamiliar with our grant management system. So I would like to walk you through a step-by-step process in terms of how to navigate through our grant management system. So first of all, there's a link that you use to access our grant management system online. So once you click the link to the application portal, then it would display the page that you currently have right in front of the screen. For first, if you already a user previously registered on our system, then you'll have to log in using your email and password. If you haven't got an account with RF on our GM system, then you have to register using the registration link. So, for instance, if you are a new user and then click on the registration link, then you have to input your email address, and then an auto-generated email would be sent to your email address, which would then enable you to actually activate your account. So moving to the next slide. So this is how it looks like for someone who haven't previously gotten an account with our GM system. So you have to indicate your details. That's your the email address, the title, first name, last name, and your institution, as well as gender and nationality. Then move on the next step. So before I move forward, I would like to stress something with regards to the institution. We have received like several queries or inquiries from applicants stating that their institution is not on the list of the already collated long list of institutions on our GM system. You don't have to worry about that. You just put in your institution name. And for instance, if you receive like a prompt indicating that your institution is not on the list, do proceed with the next step, because we have all the applications that we receive, they go through a validation stage. There's a stage where we validate all new institutions to be part of our the long list of institutions on our grant management system. Yes, so the next point to take note is before, as a new user, before you're able to access our application and start a new application, you have to accept our website privacy policy as well as the grant terms and conditions. So you have to click on the boxes and then scroll all the way to the bottom to be able to check the boxes, and then so looking at the screen, for instance, as an example, our website privacy policy, it has a two-page document. So if you get into the grant management system online, and then you open the grant terms and conditions, then you have to scroll all the way to the bottom. Then that would enable the accept button to display visibly to enable you to click on accept to proceed with your application. If you've accepted like both the website privacy policy and then the terms and conditions, then you would it would be clearly visible on your screen that they've both been accepted. Then you'll be able to log in and then navigate through your application. I think yes. Well, previously, for instance, as a new user, if you input your email address, then the system would generate an email and then send it to your inbox, prompting you to use the temporal link to get into the system to set up a new password, which you will use for your subsequent login. Yes. So once you get into the system, this is how the homepage looks like. So below, you will have to click on the new application. For instance, the arrow that points straight to click here. So if you click on the blue highlighted link, then you would have access to the active calls on the RF website. So for instance, currently, this is an example. We have the Excel Research Development Fellowship as well as the Excel program. So you will then have to click on apply to have access to the application form and then to start your application. Without wasting any more time, I'll have to navigate through the online system just to walk you through the step-by-step process in terms of how to go about the application. Can you see my screen, Don? Yes. So if you get into, I'm able to log into the main application page. So if I click on apply, then it would pull out the current active calls. Then I click on apply for the Excel program. All right. So once you get into the introduction stage, so you'll have the opportunity to download the Excel information for applicants, as well as the call flyer, and also the nomination form for the fellows that will be nominating as part of your Excel Malaria program application. Then if I click on next, it will take me straight into the application. So already I've created an account and the system has captured my personal details. So it has captured the title, the first name, the last name. Then you'll have to input your institution name as well as the other details. Then there's an attach function below for the institutional lead to upload their CV. Also, do take note that for all the sections that are marked in red, they are compulsory, meaning that you can't proceed to getting your application submitted without completing those sections. Additionally, I would like to bring to your attention that our online application from the grants management system, it's built in a way that you should be able to, let's say, bold your text, underline, and then make it in italic, and also include tables within. So moving on to the next stage, for instance, also you can apply with another institution. So as an institutional lead, you can collaborate with another institution. So in this case, you'll have to check this box just to indicate that you are applying as a single entity or applying with another institution. If you're applying with another institution, then you have to check, click on the yes option, then it would pull out additional information to enable you to input details of the co-applicant that you're submitting the application with. So the next stage, it's the information about the institutional lead. So there are specific details that the institution needs to add in terms of the application that they'll submit. So they'll have to list up to 10 publications. To remind you again, the ones things that are highlighted in red are compulsory. So you won't be able to submit unless you complete all the sections. So the next stage as part of the application process for the institutional lead is to provide information about the competitive grants that the institution have won, and also the markers of esteem. The next step is details about the institutional contribution to institutional development. Then you will have to complete this thing as an assignment evidence showing the institutional commitment. Give specific example as well as identify contribution you've made currently or in the past regarding capacity development of various researchers in your institution. Step 5 of the application is to provide evidence of professional services beyond your institution. And then part B of the application is to provide information of your institutional status, to provide the full name of your institution, the official name, the abbreviation, the mailing address of your institution. If you have a website, so there's a section that you have to provide the URL link of your institution so that the reviewers and RF can get into your website to do like any due diligence and stuff like that. Also, the second part of the second part is actually to check if your institution is a legal entity. So you'll have to select the drop down and then choose the right fit for your institution. And then you'll have to upload like an evidence and check the declaration just to ensure that you're providing the right thing. Yes, so the next point is about the portfolio of research grants you've won and the relevant reference document as an evidence. Then further down, there's a link underneath where you can add the up to 5 nominees that you'll be nominating as a part of your application. So if I click on this one, then a screen pops out, which you can simply expand to indicate the various information required for the specific individuals that you're nominating as part of your application. And again, to stress on the fact that you can add up to a maximum of 5 nominees for your application. And then you will have the opportunity to upload their CVs and also their PhD certificates or equivalent certification for verification purposes. So once you complete the sections above, and then attach all the required documents. So all the documents would be displayed here on this supporting the document section. So given that I haven't uploaded any document, so that's why nothing it's currently displaying on the supporting the document side of things. So the other part, it's basically around, yes, basic information, confirming where you've had this call from, just for our knowledge to understand how we can better disseminate our call moving forward in the future. So the final part is the signature. So the institutional lead, you'll have to capture your full name, your job title, the institution, and the date in which this application it's been completed and submitted. And the final point is the validation stage. Once you complete all the sections, then you'll have to validate your application. So if I click on the validation aspect, so that there are specific several sections that are indicated in red as X. So the validation has picked them, has pulled them out, bringing them to my attention that I need to act upon them before I am able to submit the application. So once all of these are addressed, then you should be able to proceed to the next stage and then submit your application. And again, with regards to the application, you can work on your application, save it, and then come back to it to continue from where you left off. Additionally, a point to take note of, it's we encourage applicants to use just one email address, because we previously have experience where one person used several email addresses to apply to a given RF call. So to minimize such, we would definitely encourage you to use one email address. Yes. So I think that's all from me at this point, and over to you, Dawn.
Oh, are we now at questions and answers? See how Kathy's doing with. Are you there, Kathy? Is it working now, or?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you can hear me.
We can.
Yes. I see, yeah, some of the questions have been answered, but there's one which is asking about institutional, if one has participated in the program before as early career researcher, can they still apply? And I think that's, yeah, if they had been early career researchers previously on a similar program, can they now apply as institutional lead?
I was gonna phone a friend on that one, Akari.
That's, yeah, I saw that we want is not to repeat what someone has done before. But in this instance, this person participated as an early career researcher and is now in a senior position. I think that it would be instructive if you can share more details with us. It doesn't have to be now during this webinar, but RF is always ready to listen to you. We want to see the circumstances, because we really want to avoid a state, something like a duplication of efforts, but we want to see exactly your peculiar situation. So that's something that warrants you having you can contact us and we can look at that based on your particular situation. But generally, what we don't want to see is people who have had the same kind of experience with RF coming back for this program. So for that individual, kindly contact us and then share more details with us, and we'll know how we can address that moving forward.
Yeah. Just to stress, we absolutely support our alumni who are now ready to come into this. But the Towards Leadership program is too similar to what we'll be doing for the early career researchers here. However, Towards Leadership people may be institutional leads. Our research development fellows, I think, could be either. I think some of our research development fellows that were from earlier cohorts, we've been doing that almost 10 years now. So those that are 5 to 10 years out very well may be in institutional lead places right now. However, some of our more recent research development fellows may be very much suited to the early career researcher side of things. So it really depends.
Okay, there was another question I saw, and somebody mentioned that they have a master's in molecular biology and about 4 publications, and whether they would like to kind of observe this. One of the advice I would give is that if within your institution, because you clearly are an early career researcher in this instant, but if within your institution there is someone higher up whom you think can act as an institutional lead, you can bring this to them and have that discussion with them to see whether they can lead. But if you have if you have an MD, that is a medical degree, and you have a master's in molecular biology and you have the research experience, that's fine. But if you do not have a medical degree, then we'll be expecting that you have a PhD and a research experience of 2 to 8 years to qualify as an early career researcher in this program. I hope that helps in answering that person's question.
Oh. Okay, so there's some questions. There are a few questions about authorship. Maybe I'll pull them together. Preprints can be fine for a couple or in press publications. So those are publications that have been accepted but are not yet published. But you wouldn't expect all of your publications to be in preprint or in press. We would want to see some made it through the publication process. And somebody is asking about first authorship. I would expect the institutional lead would have a combination of some first author and some last author, or some type of balance of that. It's not, I mean, I do realize that some people who have done clinical trials research that has 500 authorships, it's very, very hard to get those first and last authors. So again, I hesitate to put a number, but I would expect an institutional lead to have some first and last author, probably some combination of that. And I would expect an early career researcher to have at least one first authorship. I think that's probably, but if there were circumstances that led to that not being, I think we would be open to listening. I do know authorship is political. But also, I do believe that the form, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's very much like our forms for our RDS. They do ask what your specific contribution is. So it would be important for you to explain your contributions in general. Say, we will be, I mean, it's convention that the first author and last author are kind of the lead people. And then second author is probably your next biggest or even second to last author. But yeah, if there's some different convention or there's some other thing that's happening, please let us know. I know there's even in some labs, particularly ones that lean towards chemistry, they sometimes just do it alphabetical. So if that's the case, please indicate that.
So there's a question here where somebody asks if your PhD is post 9 years, can you apply? Like Don said, if you can show that you have had career breaks, and this could be care, maybe you were taking care of someone, but just give us evidence of career breaks, especially if it affected, of course, your career, maybe women who had to go on maternity leave and things like that. Please let us know, and then we can look at that separately. We are trying as much as possible to give as much opportunities to people, despite the fact that they may have had legitimate breaks in their career, which happens. So let us know, and then when we look at the larger scheme of things in terms of what are the other eligibility criteria that you have met vis-a-vis this one, then we can decide that it's not something that we would reject. Let me put it that way, provided you can show us a documentation of the reason for the career break.
And just to put out there that it's very likely that institutional lead will have more than 9 years post PhD. So if you are more than 9 years post PhD, perhaps you're in an institutional lead. It's only the early career nominated researchers that have the 8 years, kind of guidance. So so institutional leads would very much be expected to be more senior. And I had a question asking if institutional leads could be professors. Yes. We would expect them to be at least senior lecturers, readers, professors. But you would have to show that you do have time to dedicate to this, and that you certainly a professor, I would expect to see a good track record of doing a lot of capacity building stuff within an institution, because you would have had a long time to do it.
And I think though this is just getting back to the everyone wants to apply, please read the instructions. If you're an institutional lead, look at the form and see exactly what is required and try to assess yourself to see whether you fit. If you don't, you can look for someone you think fits that position. John, there's a question here for you. Can an African postdoc in a non-African institution apply for this program?
So this is about embedding within an African institution. So you definitely need to be employed by an African institution.
Let me just look in the chat and see if we've missed anything.
There is a question about whether is it possible for a novice researcher who does not work exclusively on malaria to apply for the program?
Oh.
So again, I think it depends what you mean by novice researcher, and also what you mean by exclusively.
Malaria.
Lots of people don't work exclusively on any one topic. So if you work on malaria and also you work on some other infectious disease, that's conceptually fine, as long as you have a track record also working in malaria. It may be that you use a certain technique that works for this infectious disease and with other infectious diseases. That's fine. Or you may be a mosquito person. We have lots of mosquito people, and malaria is definitely one mosquito infectious disease, but there are others. So just because you work on the others doesn't mean you couldn't be in this program, as long as you work on malaria. Again, novice researcher, we would expect post-PhD at the very least, and to have some track record, usually at least 2 years of postdoctoral work in some form. So it really depends on the definitions of those. If you're more junior than that, Again, Arif has a very post-PhD focus. That's our niche. That's our spot. I would encourage you to move forward with your research career, get your doctorate, get your publications, come back to us for some grant writing training in the future when you're in that postdoc phase, and we have loads of opportunities for you then in the future. I know that isn't always the answer people want, but it's much better to know what you're not eligible for and you don't spend time doing than spending a lot of time doing something that won't work no matter what. And really, honestly, when we say this is what we're looking for, you can't, don't think, oh, if I just put in an application, maybe they'll accept me anyway. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. And when you have the information as to what we actually do, that can also be a way of guiding you in terms of your own personal development career to see how you can meet us at what we do later on in your career. I just wanted to look at the three things that we really will be looking at in this application and that would increase the chances of you being selected. The first one is your institution and how committed your institution is to capacity development, including how much it has already invested into the researcher capacity development. Of course, we want the portfolio of competitively won grants from your institution. And then we also are looking at the institutional lead. The ultimate outcome of this program is to bring change, especially the change that fosters career progression for early career researchers. And we want someone who can drive that change. And that is why we would prefer someone much more senior, because they would have much more influence within their institution. And the final thing are the nominees. I know there is a clause that talks about when vacancies arise, the team can fill that vacancy. But we would rather have a situation where you do a rigorous selection process and give us 5 very strong nominees. And so we won't need there won't be a need for a vacancy. And so your selection process, the nominees that you select in this program is critical to the success of the application. I hope this helps.
I just had another thought, Carrie, and I just want to make this extremely clear because it can be confusing. We are not looking for research projects here. The projects that we're funding are not malaria research. They are capacity and career development for malaria researchers. So it's very much how to support the career development of researchers who are in the area of malaria research, not to do specific techniques or projects in malaria research. I hope that that's clear, because it can be confusing. Often we're writing grants to do research. And Arif grants are that little bit different because we're really very much focused on researchers and researcher careers and research culture within an institution. I hope that makes sense.
And just to add,
okay.
And
Sorry,
just
Kathy.
maybe to add on that is, if you are the institution lead, maybe just take note of the key things you need to do. You'll be the one that will go into the RF portal to complete the forms, obtain all information relating to your institution, but as well as also do the nomination of the researchers from your institution. Also take note, I think when Lamin shared the GMS system, there will also be a flyer that the institutional lead will be able to distribute, advertise within their institutions, and then researchers will apply through their institutions and apply to the institutional lead, who will then come to the system and feed in information regarding the nominees. So let's be very clear that it's only the institutional lead that is going to take the responsibility of completing the application on the RF system.
So I have a question here that says, could a senior researcher from France and working in malaria apply for the program and work with eligible institutions? What we want is to drive change within an institution. And so the institutional lead should be from the institution so that they can drive internal change. So having someone from outside the institution will make that incredibly difficult because they don't understand the culture of the institution and perhaps the leadership of the institution. So unless that person is a permanent staff of that institution, perhaps just on sabbatical and will come back, but it would be safer for the institutional leads to be from the institution itself.
And they have to be African nationals.
African
So
nationals.
you have to be an African national employed by an African institution. In no way does ERA fund non-Africans. There is a lot of funding in Europe for Europeans. That's not what we do. And we don't directly fund European institutions. We fund African researchers and African research in African institutions. How to get the institutional flyer for Can you explain how to get the flyer for institutional advertising? Lamin, that might be for you. It's within all of our documents, isn't it?
Yes, so it's embedded on the grants management system. So once you access your application, you should be able to download all the relevant documents, that's the flyer, the nominees application form, and also the information for applicant.
We were really trying to make it easy for you. We do realize that it is a complicated process having to advertise out for applications for nominees and go through all of that process. So we have drafted kind of templates, but please do realize these are templates. And for your own internal processes, you're going to have to add your own dates, your own, your extra
Local.
stuff. We've given a template to make your life easier.
Okay, can the call be advertised outside the institution of the lead? Yes, we mentioned that you may have co-applicants. And so, but we must define one institutional lead. So maybe in your institution, you are working with another institution that has a strong malaria program, just like yours, and you want to bring in fellows from that. So the institutional lead comes from one institution, and that is clear, but the fellows can come from a collaboration. And whatever the institution you collaborate with, you name them as a co-applicant.
Yeah, and you can make a really good narrative around that. If you're working to get critical mass, maybe by combining with another institution, or one of the institutions is an up-and-coming institution working with a more established institution to kind of bring the whole up. So thinking about what that narrative is about that collaboration and how it enriches the researchers on both sides could be something that would be very strong in an application. So think about that. And it might be, it could even cross country borders. It might be, I mean, I would expect that probably, well, I don't know if it could be different, but lots of times they might be fairly close together, but you can be close together and across borders sometimes. And you may be maybe you're working with a country that has less research infrastructure, and that might have a really positive narrative too, that you're enhancing the research capacity of this institution that doesn't have as much national support as perhaps your country does. So yeah, any of those type of narratives could be good, but please make sure you don't expect people just to know that you actually put it down in words. Because we work across a lot of countries, and our peer reviewers are really very good at understanding African context in general, but your individual context and area may have nuances that the peer reviewers and selection panel don't know about. So the more that you put that in, and show how this work is working for your institutional context or your community context or your national context or whatever it is, the stronger the application. It helps the reviewers understand that this is really thought through.
Kathy, is there any other question we haven't responded to?
No, I think we've responded to all of them.
Okay.
Will be advertised. So, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can catch anything else. Yes, I'm thinking we're good. Are there any last questions? It's been really lovely to have so many people here. I hope some of you found it to be something that really suits. And if this isn't the opportunity for you from ERA, like Akiri says, if you're too junior for ERA things, think about us in your advanced career plans. For those of you who feel like you're just a little bit more junior, if you find somebody in your institution that's happy to carry it forward as institutional lead, that's a fantastic way forward. If you're not able to do that, please look for our other opportunities in terms of grant writing, research development fellowships, these type of things, and even the Towards Leadership program. These type of things can be other ways to move yourself forward. And we are at ERA very passionate about our Excell program and working behind the scenes to try and get more money to be able to do more of these type of programs and to be able to do them for different research areas. I do know that some people came on and said they're in a different research area. Could this work for them? This is malaria, but ERA is not exclusively for malaria researchers, and we are working to find different streams of funding to support an Excell type program for a broader range of disciplines or a different range of disciplines. So we get our money the same way you guys do. We write a lot of grants.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we have another
And we ask
question.
people to donate. That's a donate thing. It is people donating money and us writing grants that really allow us to be able to continue to do these type of things and to support researchers. So if you can donate, that's fabulous. Even a pound, even £5 is appreciated. And we will continue to work to support early career researchers and mid-career researchers across Africa.
I think there's a question.
Is there another question?
Yes, I think someone is trying to ask whether the institution lead can compete as an selected in one country, or they can apply as an institution.
It's not a country, it's an institutional-based application, not a country-based one. Yeah. I think that question may have arisen when Dawn talked about maybe you can collaborate with neighboring institutions from other universities or institutions. So no, you're not, the institutional leads don't compete. Once you meet the criteria that we have set, and within your group or your cohort, you are the one pushing this application, then you are the institutional lead. And all we ask is that you get the support of your institution by having a sponsor's letter written by someone high up. We mentioned a deputy vice chancellor. It could even be a vice chancellor, depending on how far you can reach within your institution, but someone who can be supportive of the change that you want to make. So no, you're not competing. The people who will be competitively selected would be the nominees, that is the early career researchers.
Yeah, and just to clarify, again, there can only be one application per institution. However, I imagine we will have multiple applications from some countries.
So,
We
Kathy, I
got
think
all
that's,
of the questions in the chat.
yeah.
If there are any further questions, maybe after this webinar, I think Lamin did share a link where you can just send in those questions and someone will be able to address them. Yes, thanks, Lamin. There it is.
Yeah, and you may, as you go through the application process, it's highly likely that other questions may come up. Do utilize the guidance. We tried really, really hard to make good, clear guidance for you. But if anything is anything you don't understand, any questions you have, please, it's always better to ask than to guess. And we'll get back to you with answers on that. And we'll also be learning and taking on board the questions you have to make our guidance even better in the future. So please do let us know if something isn't clear.